This was overdue, wasn't it? How you doing, guys? What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome back to everybody. Welcome everybody back to Anime Station. This is for anything and everything animation. And today, finally, we are reviewing. Well, what should have been reviewed a week ago, but technical bullcrap said otherwise because my Netflix decided to give me problems. It was a whole household sharing thing. It's a whole mess. I'm not even gonna get into it. But point is, I finally got to watch the big grand finale of the Sonic Prime Netflix show. Sonic Prime Season 3. Now, yes, let me address this right off the bat. I did not review Season 2. I apologize for that. I meant to go episode by episode just like I did with Season 1. But due to a lack of time and having other plans, I just couldn't fit it in, and I'm really sorry. But if you guys want to know my overall thoughts on Season 2, it was spectacular, man. It took everything that first season did so well and built upon it, which led to my hype being even higher for this third and, as of now, officially confirmed final season of Sonic Prime. And, yeah, this one's a little disappointing, to say the least. Now, it's not bad. No. It is not a bad final season, and this is not a bad show. Not at all. But it did let me down in more than a few ways, and I do have some legit complaints. Think of this kind of like the Sonic equivalent of my review of the Boo saga of Dragon Ball Z, where I loved all the sagas that came before it in that original Z, but when it got to Boo, I started getting a bit, apoplectic, I think the words I'm looking for here. So, I have a whole giant written review here, and I promise you no spoilers. Don't worry, no spoilers. But this is just my overall thoughts on Season 3 and my own personal opinion. And if you disagree, that's perfectly okay. You don't have to agree with me if you don't want to agree with me. I'm not one of those assholes that would just force my opinion onto you and say you have to agree with this or you're wrong. You're entitled to your opinion. Just please be respectful of mine and don't be an a-hole in the comments. That's all I'm asking for. Don't be an Eggman. There's enough Eggmans in this world already. Alright, enough jokes. Here's my written review. I hope you guys enjoy. After fighting technical difficulties, I finally watched the final season of Sonic Prime, and I do have some thoughts about it to say the very least. But before I dive in, let me say this right now. This season is not bad. Overall, I'm still pretty happy with it and had a fantastic time witnessing how this epic multiverse adventure concluded, and would definitely consider it a very good season to go out on. That being said, however, and it definitely makes me sad to say this, it's the weakest of the three seasons and still doesn't even come close to topping Sonic X, which in my opinion is still the Blue Blur's best show by a mile. Okay, positives first. The animation is still incredible. It's flexible, it's fast, it's well made, it's high budget, it's accurate to the character designs. Animation's still incredible. Some of the best 3D animation I've ever seen. The big final battle was epic. Seeing all the alternative Shadowverse versions of the main team finally all come together was amazing, especially the three Amy's in particular who now outright call themselves sisters, which, I mean, that's just adorable. The fight choreography is movie quality and is absolutely jaw-dropping. The voice acting is still spectacular as always. The story was very ambitious. The music was great. Shadow was a huge standout all throughout, and arguably the best he's been as a character since the Adventure era. There's still tons of references scattered throughout for the old school fans. The completion of both Sonic and Nine's character development was fantastic, and at times it actually got pretty emotional. The jokes are still pretty good. The designs of all the Grimbots were pretty creative, especially one in particular. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm just going to say it's the one that was not in the trailer. That's all I'm going to say. It's not the one in the trailer. The tensions and stakes were high all throughout. The ending, while flawed, which we'll get to, and I promise not to spoil anything, and leaving a few things up in the air is still mostly satisfying, and the enjoyability is quite high, especially if you are a fan of the Blue Blur. However, with that being said, there is some huge problems that definitely drag it down compared to the stellar first 2 seasons of this series. The final battle is very drawn out to a degree that it actually makes the Dragon Ball fights seem condensed in comparison. What do I mean by that? Well, you know that infamous 5-hour long fight between Goku and Frieza in the original Z? That was stretched out for who knows how many episodes. Well, here in Prime, the final battle takes place over 3 episodes, and in those 3 episodes, episodes 4, 5, and 6, there's 7 different fights. And it just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like, it is so confusing. Like, that many fights in those 3 episodes? Really? You could easily condense that into just one big grand finale. But you wasted too much time making this finale. Look, I'm usually one that's talking about rushed endings and how there's not enough time to fully elaborate or fully deliver something satisfying. I've done that before in the past, I know. But here it's the opposite problem, where it takes too damn long, and it starts to drag after about the first episode and a half of this fight. Now, is there great things in the fight? Yes, of course, there's great things inside of this fight, but the whole fight overall is so dragged out, so slow, so tedious that I would not be surprised if it puts kids to sleep. Like, a huge problem. 9, as much as I like him as a character, is not a good final boss, and just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again, instead of actually being strategic until the very end, which, yes, does have a given explanation that's somewhat believable, but it's still annoying regardless. The end of the battle itself is very anticlimactic with a twist that is obnoxiously predictable. The quantity of characters is absolutely bonkers, which results in more characters getting more screen time than others. A couple of things, one involving Knuckles the Dread in particular, is left completely unexplained. The ending, while mostly satisfying, still leaves more unanswered questions rather than conclusive answers. And keep in mind, this is the finale of the series. There hasn't been an announcement of a spin-off show or a show to continue it yet. As of right now, this is the end of it. And the end is just going to leave you scratching your head like, what are you guys thinking here? Sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. Please excuse me. And the entire final episode, despite having been dragged out, with this final battle being dragged out for 3 whole episodes, still feels rushed for time, which, compounded by the battle being drawn out over 4 22-minute long episodes out of the 7 in total of the season, is just absolutely unacceptable. Just so frustrating. Oh, and this is something I forgot to write down in my review, but I saw it and I understood it when I saw Sam Procrastinate's overall review of Sonic Prime. The writing in this season is really bad. Like roll your eyes bad. And thankfully it's saved by all the other elements, but the great sharp writing that was in those first 2 seasons, gone. Like, I can't even explain it without going into spoilers, which I don't want to do, but just know the writing in this final season is terrible. In conclusion, Sonic Prime Season 3 is a pretty good finale, but compared to my sky-high hopes for it, very disappointing. Not to the point of being as bad as the internet would lead you to believe, but definitely undeniable, especially with how amazing and nearly flawless the first 2 seasons were in comparison. This could have been the big final statement that this deserves to be among the elites of modern cartoons, but instead it blew that opportunity at pretty much every turn and became just another modern cartoon. A higher tier modern cartoon, absolutely, but nothing more than that. So, with all that said, what's my final verdict for Sonic Prime Season 3? It is a disappointing, but good enough, I guess. 6.5 out of 10. For fans of Sonic and kids only. It's such a huge bummer after all that great build up in the first two seasons, and I understand why most of the fans are upset. But like I said before, it's not bad. Get that through your head. It's not bad. I am not calling it bad, I'm just calling it very, very flawed. There is a difference. You can still enjoy something that's flawed almost as much as you can enjoy something that's great. Like, you get my drift here, just because it's flawed doesn't mean it's automatically bad. Just want to make that clear before people start jumping down my throat. And I already talked about the Boost Saga thing, so I'm going to skip over that sentence. However, I will also give you my final thoughts of Sonic Prime altogether. The final verdict for the series overall, with all 3 seasons put together, is an 8 out of 10. A very strong Sonic cartoon that fans and kids alike will have a blast with, and easily among the best of the Netflix original shows, but unfortunately really dragged down in comparison to the legendary status of Sonic X and other Netflix original shows like BoJack Horseman, by a very disappointing finale that should have been so much better than it ultimately turned out to be. Highly recommended if you're a Sonic fan or a parent looking for great cartoons to watch with your kids, but for everyone else, it's really going to depend on your own personal taste in cartoons overall. So, yep, that pretty much sums up all my thoughts on Sonic Prime Season 3 and Sonic Prime in general. I still plan to do episode-by-episode reviews at some point, but I can't say when, and I cannot even say if it's going to be this year or not. Because I have something else planned, Sonic-related, for a certain month, and I don't want this to interfere with that. So, yeah, that is pretty much all my thoughts. My spoiler-free thoughts on Sonic Prime Season 3. Ultimately pretty disappointing, but the show overall is still great, and I do recommend seeing it at least once if you're a Sonic fan. Just be aware that the conclusion is not going to be nearly as good as the build-up. That's all I'm saying. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned because we have a really good review next because a certain show dropped today, and it's probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. What do I mean? Well, I'll tell you all about it next time when we talk about the long-awaited, finally arriving premiere of Hazbin Hotel.